Welcome to another deep dive. Today, we're cutting through the noise and diving straight into a topic that often feels, a bit mysterious, or maybe locked behind some pretty expensive degrees. We're talking about the art and science of business.
That's right. You asked us to help navigate this really fascinating stack of material.
Yeah, and our mission today is to pull out the most potent nuggets of knowledge from the Personal MBA, Master the Art of Business.
Exactly. We're going to unpack some foundational concepts, things designed to, radically increase your confidence, maybe help you spot weaknesses in your own systems.
And challenge some assumptions too, right?
Definitely challenge those long-held ideas about what it really takes to succeed. And what's fascinating is we'll explore how you can become a better business person without necessarily needing that piece of paper on the wall.
Exactly. Think of this deep dive as your shortcut, understanding what businesses actually are and what successful ones actually do, hopefully transforming how you think about value and impact. So, okay, let's get into it. We're starting right off the bat with a pretty provocative question from our source. It asks if you're more interested in becoming a better business person or having a document to hang on your wall to impress people. It immediately suggests that, maybe the traditional MBA isn't the only path, or even the best one for real business acumen.
And that raises a critical question, doesn't it? Why might you reconsider such a, widely accepted route like the MBA? The material highlights several pretty compelling points.
Like what?
Well, first, there's the astronomical cost. I mean, these programs are so expensive now. The source says students often have to mortgage their life, makes the ROI, the return on investment, really questionable after years of tuition hikes.
Oh, okay, cost is one.
Then there's the curriculum itself. It's often called irrelevant. The source claims many programs teach worthless, outdated, even outright damaging concepts. Things like super complex financial formulas.
But not the practical stuff.
Right, but they fail to teach how to actually start or improve a real operating business. And finally, there's a strong critique of their kind of short-term focus.
How so?
The source suggests MBA-trained executives have, maybe unwittingly, gutted previously viable companies because they ignore process improvements for short-term profit numbers. They promote strategies like leveraged buyouts that lead to these debt-bloated monstrosities.
Ouch. So it calls the programs a trap for the unwary.
Pretty strong words.
And here's where it gets really interesting for you listening, the author of our source. Well, they were offered this highly coveted assistant brand manager role at Procter & Gamble, the kind of job usually reserved for top MBA grads.
Right.
And they chose not to pursue an MBA.
Yes, and this kind of self-directed path isn't just anecdotal. It's validated by huge figures like Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger. They built a company worth, over $195 billion?
Incredible.
All based on their deep knowledge of how businesses, people, systems work. And all without formal business degrees. Their method, identifying and applying fundamental principles, that's really central to this better way being proposed.
So for you, the key takeaway here is choice. You have a choice. Studying the fundamentals yourself, developing your network that can give you most of the benefits of a business education at, a fraction of the cost.
It's not just saving potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's about learning what you actually need to succeed and applying it directly. Faster feedback loops.
Okay, so we've challenged the traditional path. Let's build from the ground up. What is a business, really, at its core?
Our source gives this remarkably concise, repeatable process. 5 essential factors. A business, it says. 1, creates and delivers something of value.
Okay, value creation.
2, it's something that other people actually want or need. Demand.
Got it. 3, it's at a price they're willing to pay.
Price point.
4, it delivers in a way that satisfies the customer's needs and expectations.
Satisfaction.
And 5, crucially, the business brings in enough profit to make it worthwhile for the owners to keep going.
Sustainability.
Exactly.
And the source says if you take any one of those 5 away, well, you don't have a business anymore. You have something else.
Right. Like, if it doesn't create value, it's just a hobby.
It doesn't attract attention. It's a flop.
Doesn't sell. It's basically a nonprofit.
Doesn't deliver what it promised. It's a scam.
And if it doesn't bring in enough profit, eventually it closes. It really is that fundamental.
That simple and that crucial.
And this also leads us to something called the mercenary rule, which is, don't start a business just for the money.
Why not? Seems like a common reason.
Because starting and running a business always takes more effort than you expect. Always. And if money is your only driver, you'll likely quit before you see real results.
So take some time up front. Yeah, a few hours evaluating your deeper motivations. Right. That can genuinely save you months, maybe years of frustration down the line.
Okay, building on that idea of value,
Mhm.
our source really emphasizes that value isn't intrinsic. It's not inherent in the thing itself.
Right. It's about how people react to their environment, their problems, their desires.
And what's fascinating is how it details 12 standard forms of value, which really expands your thinking beyond just, physical products.
Absolutely. Understanding these forms helps you see all the different business models out there. For example, a product that can be tangible, like a car, or non-physical, like software or an ebook.
And products scale well, right?
Generally, yeah. They're valuable because they can often be duplicated easily.
Yeah.
Think of a book written once but printed millions of times. Now compare that to a service.
Like teaching or consulting.
Exactly. Directly involves people. So services are generally harder to scale because of that human element. You need more people to deliver more service.
Okay, what else?
Well, there's a shared resource.
Yeah.
This lets lots of people access experiences that would otherwise be too expensive, like museums or amusement parks.
The tricky part there is managing usage, I guess.
Totally. Finding that sweet spot. Not too few people, not too crowded. Then you have the subscription model.
Very popular now.
Yeah, it provides predictable, steady revenue. You build a loyal customer base over time. The key there is minimizing churn, keeping customers happy so they stick around.
Makes sense.
A reseller, think grocery chains, buys low from manufacturers, sells higher, and handles the distribution efficiently. A lease lets you use an asset, like a car or housing, without buying it outright. The asset goes back to the owner later.
And insurance.
Right. Insurance spreads risk across many people. Insurers make money if they collect more in premiums than they pay out in claims. So they need to avoid bad risks and fraud.
And the last one?
Capital. This is basically buying an ownership stake in a business. Think angel investing, venture capital, even buying stock.
What's really insightful, I think, is how businesses can mix and match these.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
This modularity lets them create or improve each offer separately, then combine them almost like Legos. It unlocks totally new ways to serve customers and generate revenue.
Like bundling.
Exactly. Bundling, like a mobile phone plan with calls, texts, data. It increases the perceived value, makes the whole feel greater than the sum of its parts, so you can often charge more.
And then there's the opposite too, right? Unbundling.
Right, like selling individual MP3s instead of forcing you to buy the whole album. That opens up sales to people who only want one or two songs. It caters to those specific niche desires.
Okay, here's another surprising bit from the source, one that really flips a common idea on its head. Ideas are largely worthless.
That one gets attention.
Yeah, it's not about having that brilliant, world-changing idea. It's about the ability to actually translate an idea into reality.
So you don't need to be paranoid about people stealing your idea.
Apparently not. What truly counts is the execution. The source suggests the real challenge isn't the idea itself. It's overcoming that psychological hurdle of starting small, testing things out.
Instead of waiting for the perfect idea that might never come.
Exactly. It often means embracing failure, not as failure, but as data, which, let's be honest, a lot of smart people struggle with.
So, okay, if execution is key, how do you know if your idea can even work before you bet the farm on it?
The answer, according to the source, is the iteration cycle.
Iteration cycle, okay.
It involves testing your assumptions quickly and cheaply, finding out if you have a viable offer before you sink tons of time and money into it if there's no demand.
You move on quickly, minimize the risk.
Right. And the core of this cycle is getting useful feedback. But importantly, not just any feedback.
Okay, what makes feedback useful then?
Well, first, get it from real customers, potential customers, not your friends and family who might, sugarcoat things to be nice.
Good point. Painful, maybe, but necessary.
Definitely. Then ask open-ended questions. Listen more than you talk. Focus on the who, what, when, where, why, how.
Let them do the talking.
Exactly. And you need thick skin. Don't get offended. Even discouraging feedback has crucial information hidden in it. Apathy, someone just shrugging. That's actually the worst response you can get.
Because it means they just don't care at all.
Right. And one of the most powerful forms of feedback. It's a customer's willingness to actually purchase, even if the product isn't totally ready yet.
Like pre-orders.
Yeah, the source uses pre-order shadow testing. The Fitbit example is great here. People pre-ordered based just on a description and some renderings.
Wow.
That gave investors the confidence to fund them with $2 million before the product was fully developed. It proved real demand and minimized their risk massively.
That's powerful. So it's all about understanding what people actually want.
not just what they say they want,
Hmm.
which leads us to marketing.
Right, because we all think we know what we want.
Totally. But the source makes this great point. If you get potential customers together and ask them to rate the importance of everything, they'll often say everything is critically important and they won't be happy with less.
Yeah. They want exceptional results instantly, every time, with absolutely no effort.
And they want it to be free.
Naturally. But the reality is different, of course. This is where something called relative importance testing comes in. It was pioneered by Jordan Louviere.
How does that work?
It uses simulated trade-offs. It forces people to choose. For a diner, for instance, is it really faster service they value most? Or lower prices, better decor, more variety? What actually makes the biggest difference when they have to choose?
So you uncover their real priorities by forcing those trade-offs.
Right.
Because they can't have everything.
Exactly. It reveals what they value when compromises are necessary.
Okay, so once you understand what people truly value, how do you market effectively? The source says it's about earning attention from the people most likely to buy.
Makes sense. So how do you do that?
Well, first, understand receptivity. People ignore stuff they don't care about, so you need to know what they're receptive to and when.
Timing matters.
Hugely. The example used is expecting a baby. Suddenly, you're incredibly receptive to ads for diapers, cribs, strollers, things you ignored before.
Right, your context changed.
Exactly. You should also use visualization. Encourage prospects to imagine their life with your offer. Tap into that natural human tendency for mental simulation.
Like a camera store, getting you to picture the amazing photos you'll take.
Perfect example. And then there's framing. This is huge. It's about consciously emphasizing certain aspects of your offer and maybe downplaying others to communicate the benefits clearly.
Can you give an example?
The famous Tversky and Kahneman experiment is classic. They presented doctors with two treatment options for a disease. Mathematically identical outcomes, but
How they were framed changed the preference.
massively. When framed as 200 lives will be saved, doctors preferred it. When framed as 400 people will die, they avoided it. Same outcome.
Wow. Framing is powerful.
But the source stresses framing is not the same as lying or being deceitful. Honesty is fundamental for building that long-term reputation.
Good clarification. What other tools?
Giving something valuable away for free can attract attention quickly, build goodwill.
Get people in the door.
Right. And creating a strong hook, focusing on the single primary benefit, like the iPod's brilliant hook. 1,000 songs in your pocket. Simple, clear, powerful.
Instantly understandable value.
And this next point, it really shifts perspective. Controversy can actually be good.
Really? How so?
The source uses the Personal MBA itself as an example. Its strong stance against traditional MBAs. Well, it provoked a lot of disagreement, especially from Ivy League grads.
I can imagine.
But that discussion generated significant attention, which is valuable for getting your message out there, as long as it's, purposeful and not just doing drama for drama's sake.
Interesting. So calculated controversy.
Maybe. And this ties directly into reputation, which is hugely valuable.
Definitely. People pay a premium for trust.
Right. Think of well-known brands like Tide or Crest, or that old saying, no one ever got fired for buying IBM. A strong reputation gives potential customers certainty. It reduces their perceived risk.
Okay, let's shift to sales. The core idea here is interesting.
Yeah. People don't like to be sold, but they love to buy.
So the best businesses focus on earning trust, helping prospects understand the value.
So they choose to buy rather than feeling pushed. Now, when it comes to pricing, there's this pricing uncertainty principle.
Okay.
It basically says you need to support your asking price with a reason why, especially for unique items. Like the Hope Diamond's $350 million valuation isn't just plucked from thin air. There's a story, a history, a reason.
So justify the price.
Right. And while you can look at market comparison or discounted cash flow, the source argues the optimal method is often value comparison.
That's that again?
It's understanding what your offer is uniquely worth to a specific group. The example is how Elvis Presley, having owned a house, could triple its price. But only for certain buyers, right? For Elvis fans.
So value is subjective and group specific.
Exactly. Which leads to value-based selling. Imagine you provide a service that boosts a huge corporation's revenue by $100 million. Is your service worth $10 million a year? Absolutely. Because the company still nets $90 million they wouldn't have otherwise. The key is asking prospects what they need to figure out how much your offer truly benefits them.
So the price is tied directly to the value delivered to that specific customer.
Precisely. And beyond just the price, the process of selling matters too, like in negotiation. It's not just what happens at the table. It's also about the setup, the structure.
What do you mean?
Using a buffer like an agent or an attorney can be invaluable. They bring expertise and they can negotiate hard without you risking your direct relationship with the other party.
Smart. Takes the emotion out of it for you.
Yeah. And remember, loss aversion, that deep-seated human bias where we hate losing things more than we like gaining things.
Right.
Offering risk reversal, like a strong money-back guarantee, plays directly into that. It makes the decision feel way less risky for the customer, and that often boosts sales significantly.
Makes sense. Removes the fear of making a mistake.
And one last practical tip on sales.
Huh?
Reactivation campaigns. Going back to lapsed customers.
People who bought before but stopped.
Yeah. The source calls these consistently the easiest and most profitable marketing activities you'll ever try. They already know you. They just need a nudge, a reason to re-engage.
Low-hanging fruit.
Totally. Okay, let's zoom out a bit. Connect this to the bigger picture of how businesses actually deliver value. There's this concept called the expectation effect.
Okay, expectation effect.
What's the formula? Quality equals performance minus expectations. Q equals P.
Quality. Performance expectations.
Yeah.
Got it. So it's not just how well you perform, but how well you perform relative to what people expected.
Exactly. It's a profound insight into customer satisfaction. Zappos is the classic example. They famously advertise standard shipping.
But then often deliver the shoes the very next day.
Right. That unexpected bonus, that over-delivery on expectations, makes customers' perception of quality skyrocket.
Ah, clever. Managing expectations and then exceeding them.
But it works the other way, too. Remember the iPhone 3G and 4 launches? Antenna glitches, soured expectations.
Antenna gate.
Even if the phones were better in other ways, that failure to meet a basic expectation damaged their reputation at the time, consistently surpassing expectations. It's often about those unexpected bonuses.
Okay, moving into broader system thinking. The material highlights some key operational metrics, things that determine how efficient a business really is.
Like what?
Well, throughput. That's how quickly your system creates $1 of profit, or maybe a unit ready for sale. Faster is generally better.
Makes sense. Speed of value creation.
Then scale. That's your ability to reliably duplicate or multiply a process as volume increases. Think of Starbucks.
They can just open more stores to meet demand. Highly scalable.
Exactly. Compare that to, say, a business making unique handmade quilts. Very hard to scale quickly. Services, as we said, are generally harder to scale because they rely so heavily on direct human involvement.
So scalable systems are key for growth.
Definitely. And related to that is accumulation. This is about how small, incremental improvements made consistently over time lead to significantly better results, sometimes called incremental augmentation.
Little changes adding up.
Yeah. And then there's amplification. This is where a small change to a scalable system produces a huge result.
Can you give an example?
Modern aluminum can design. Tiny improvements in materials or shape multiplied across billions of cans made every year that save the beverage industry hundreds of billions of dollars. Small change, massive impact due to scale.
Wow. Okay.
We also have force multipliers. These are basically quality tools or systems that give you maximum output for minimum input. They free up your time and energy for higher value tasks.
Like good software or efficient equipment.
Exactly. And finally, systemization. Defining clear processes so a system can operate with minimal human intervention. Think of Google's search algorithm. You type something and results appear in, what, 0.2 seconds? That's extreme systemization. It helps teams stay aligned and boosts efficiency massively.
Okay, this all leads us logically to financial health. Now, maximizing profit sounds like the obvious goal, right?
You'd think so, but the source actually warns against just maximizing profit.
Really? Why?
Because it can erode the reason customers purchase from a business in the first place. If you cut corners too much to boost profit, you might degrade the value you offer.
Ah, okay. So instead of pure profit maximization.
Focus on sufficiency. Bring in enough revenue to cover all your expenses and make it worthwhile for the owners and employees to continue. It's about long-term health, not just short-term gain.
Got it. What else affects financial health?
Your pricing power. That's your ability to raise prices over time without losing customers. The higher the lifetime value of your customers, the more you can afford to spend to acquire and keep them happy.
Makes sense. Loyal customers give you pricing flexibility.
Exactly. And then there's overhead, your fixed costs. Lower overhead gives you more flexibility, more resilience if things get tough.
Always good to keep costs lean.
Within reason. When it comes to cost management, yes, you have to spend money to make money, but cutting costs too aggressively can backfire if it degrades value.
Like that chocolate example you mentioned.
Yeah, the source talks about a chocolate company where cost-saving ingredient changes made the chocolate taste worse. Sales plummeted. Creating and delivering more value is almost always a better path to long-term profitability than just slashing costs indiscriminately.
Good point. Focus on value first.
And critically, we have to talk about cash. Cash is king, as they say.
Always.
Understanding purchasing power means realizing that receivables, money owed to you, aren't cash until they're actually paid. And debt, while it can be a useful tool, always comes with interest and repayment obligations. It reduces your future cash flow.
And you always have to consider the alternatives, right?
Absolutely. That's opportunity cost. For any investment you make, time, energy, resources, what's the value of the next best alternative you're giving up? Always worth asking that question.
Important discipline.
And don't forget the magic of compounding. That accumulation of gains over time where your investment builds on itself exponentially.
Like the interest earning interest example.
Right. The simple example shows $1 invested for 14 years at 5%, interest can double. But this applies to so much more than just money. Think about compounding knowledge, skills, relationships, customer loyalty. It works everywhere.
That's a powerful mental model. Okay, what about funding a business?
Well, there's a kind of hierarchy funding. You've got debt, like issuing bonds, and equity, like selling shares, often through public stock offerings, which is how VCs often cash out their investments.
But the source emphasizes something else.
Yeah, it really highlights bootstrapping, being self-sufficient, retaining control by avoiding external financing if possible, especially if your goal isn't necessarily to build some massive public company right away.
Keep control, grow sustainably.
Exactly. And one final crucial financial concept, sunk costs. These are investments, time, money, effort that you absolutely cannot recover.
Money down the drain.
Right. And the critical insight here is not to keep throwing good money after bad. Don't continue investing in a doomed project just because you've already spent a lot on it.
Hard to do sometimes, emotionally.
Very hard. The source tells this tragic story about Grandpa's building project. He kept pouring money into it long after it was clear it was a bad idea, just trying to recoup his initial investment. Ended up costing 3 times its worth. You have to know when to cut your losses, based on future potential, not past expenses.
Okay, powerful lessons there. Let's shift gears now, moving beyond external business stuff. Let's talk about our own minds, our internal operating systems.
Probably the most complex system we deal with every day.
For sure. And understanding how they function is crucial for productivity, decision-making, everything. The material dives right into this, comparing your personal energy to a gas tank.
A gas tank.
Yeah, one that needs consistent refueling. Through good nutrition, exercise, and especially rest. You can't run on empty.
Makes sense. Basic self-care is foundational.
Totally. And our brains, they're described as an onion with different layers controlling different things.
Layers like
The hindbrain, deep inside, focused on basic survival. The midbrain, dealing with emotions. And the forebrain, the outer layer, responsible for logic and planning. These layers interact and govern our behavior.
Okay, so different parts competing or collaborating.
Right. And there's this theory called perceptual control theory. It likens our behavior to a thermostat.
A thermostat? How?
We constantly act to keep our perceptions of the world within a desired range, a comfortable range. That's called our reference level.
So we try to maintain a certain state by
Yeah.
keeping the room temperature steady.
Exactly. If something happens that pushes our perception outside that desired reference level and we don't immediately know how to fix it, we enter reorganization.
Reorganization. What's that feel like?
It can manifest as stress, confusion, maybe even those quarter-life or midlife crises people talk about.
Yeah.
It's basically your brain scrambling, trying to figure out new ways to act to get things back within your desired range.
Okay. So that feeling of being unsettled is actually a process.
Right. So how does this translate into action for you? Well, if you consciously define your reference levels, maybe setting a target for monthly revenue or deciding you really want an 8-hour workday, your habits will naturally start to shift to try and maintain those levels.
So defining the goal helps the internal thermostat regulate towards it.
Precisely. And when your mind isn't sure how to reach a goal, it engages in mental simulation, connecting the dots, figuring out the steps, like how do I plan a complex trip to Antarctica? Your brain starts running scenarios.
Interesting. And memory plays a role here too.
Big time. But memory, fascinatingly, is described as impermanent. It's not like a perfect recording. It's subject to reinterpretation,
Yeah.
meaning new information or experiences can actually change how you remember and view past events. Your memory evolves.
Wow. So the past isn't quite as fixed as we think.
Apparently not. Now, what about motivation? We think of it as logical, right? I should be motivated to do X.
Yeah, seems logical.
But the source argues motivation is fundamentally an emotion, not a logical construct. You feel motivated or you don't. You can't just decide to be motivated through pure logic.
That explains why it feels so fleeting sometimes.
Exactly. And related to that is willpower. It's presented as a limited resource, like a muscle, or maybe more accurately, like blood glucose levels. It gets depleted with use.
But you can actually run out of willpower during the day.
Yes, which leads to some powerful advice. Don't rely on brute willpower alone, especially for fighting constant temptation. Instead, save your limited willpower for changing your environment.
Change the environment. How?
Make the good behavior easy and the bad behavior hard. The author gives an example. Using software like Freedom to block internet access while writing, instead of constantly fighting the urge to check email, depleting willpower, just remove the temptation altogether.
Ah, clever. Engineer your surroundings to support your goals.
Exactly. Use willpower for the one-time setup, not the ongoing battle.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. What about biases? Our brains aren't perfectly rational.
Far from it. The source highlights several key cognitive biases. We already mentioned loss aversion hating losses more than liking gains. That's why risk reversal, like guarantees, works so well in sales. It reduces the perceived potential loss.
Right. What else?
Threat lockdown. This is an ancient survival instinct. Faced with a threat, we freeze, fight, or flee. But in the modern world, chronic threats like an angry boss or constant deadlines can trigger this response inappropriately, making us freeze up or feel overwhelmed.
So what's the solution?
The key is to consciously acknowledge the threat signal, tell your brain, message received, it's safe to proceed, and then focus on constructive action rather than just staying stuck in that threat response or trying to suppress it.
Okay, acknowledge and redirect.
Yeah. Then there's absence blindness.
This is fascinating. We don't notice what isn't happening.
How does that play out? Think about great managers who skillfully prevent problems before they happen. Because there's no crisis, it often looks like they're not doing much. They get less recognition than the heroes who dramatically swoop in to fix visible crises that maybe shouldn't have happened in the first place.
Ah, the quiet competence gets overlooked.
Exactly. We're blind to the problems that didn't occur. Then there's contrast. Our perception is heavily influenced by what's around it.
Like the expensive ties seeming less expensive after buying the blazer.
Perfect example. The blazer sets a high contrast point, making the ties seem reasonable by comparison. And finally, scarcity.
Limited time offers, exclusive access.
Right. It encourages quick decisions by tapping into our loss aversion. We act faster if we fear losing out on something valuable or limited.
Okay, lots of mental traps to be aware of. About productivity, any tips there?
Big emphasis on monoidealism, which is basically a fancy word for focusing on one task at a time.
So no multitasking.
The source argues multitasking is a myth. What we're actually doing is rapid cognitive switching between tasks, which is way less efficient and burns more mental energy.
Okay, single tasking.
Yeah, and batching similar tasks together can boost efficiency. Like making all your client calls in one block or running all your errands at once reduces that switching cost.
Makes sense. Group similar mental modes.
And always focus on your most important tasks, MITs first. Identify the critical few things that will make the biggest difference and tackle them when your energy is highest.
Eat the frog first, basically.
Pretty much. And learn to prime your brain. Consciously tell yourself what you're looking for, what's important right now. It helps you filter out noise and notice relevant information.
Like setting an intention.
Exactly. Now, making a decision. The word itself means to cut off. Making a decision means cutting off other options.
Committing to a path.
Right. And to truly understand what you want, the source recommends the five-fold why technique.
Ask why 5 times.
Yeah. Keep asking why you want something, digging deeper each time, until you get to the root cause, the core motivation behind your goal. It often reveals surprising insights.
Simple but powerful.
And when you're facing big, overwhelming projects, define what done looks like. Break it down into smaller, concrete, manageable tasks. Makes it much less daunting.
Small wins build momentum.
For sure. We also need to be really aware of our own cognitive blind spots. There's the excessive self-regard tendency.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. It's basically the Dunning-Kruger effect. Ignorance more frequently begets confidence than does knowledge. People who know a little often think they know a lot.
So the less you know, the more confident you might be.
Scary, but often true. The critical lesson: surround yourself with people who aren't afraid to tell you when you're wrong. People who will challenge your assumptions.
Seek honest feedback, even when it stings.
Essential. And actively fight confirmation bias. That's our tendency to look for information that confirms what we already believe and ignore evidence that contradicts it.
How you fight it?
You have to actively seek out disconfirming evidence. Ask yourself, what would prove me wrong? And then actually go look for that evidence, even if it's uncomfortable.
Okay, that requires real intellectual honesty.
Definitely. Now, let's shift to working with others. The source describes power not as good or bad, but as a neutral tool. It's simply your ability to get things done through other people.
Okay, influence.
Right. And critically, if you want to work effectively with others, you have to build safety, psychological safety.
People need to feel safe to speak up, contribute, disagree.
Absolutely. Marshall Goldsmith talks about how executives often subtly put down their peers, maybe with sarcasm or faint praise. Even small things can make people shut down and stop contributing their best ideas.
So how do you build safety?
The source suggests the golden trifecta. Treat people with appreciation, courtesy, and respect. Always, in all circumstances. Even seemingly unimportant interactions, like with waitstaff.
Treat everyone well?
Yeah, it makes others feel important and safe, which fosters trust and cooperation.
Makes sense. What else helps when working with people?
Remember the reason why. When asking people to do things, simply providing a reason, any reason, almost dramatically increases compliance.
Like that Harvard copy machine experiment.
Exactly. Just adding, because I have to make copies, jumped compliance from 60% to 95%. People are wired to respond to reasons.
Fascinating. Just having a because.
Similarly, when delegating, use commander's intent.
Commander's intent.
Explain why a task needs to be done, the overall goal, not just how to do it step by step. This empowers the person if the situation changes unexpectedly.
They understand the goal and can adapt, find a different way to achieve it. Like a field commander on a battlefield.
Precisely. Gives them autonomy and flexibility.
Smart delegation.
Now, some pitfalls to watch out for. Be aware of bystander apathy, the phenomenon where, in a crowd, everyone assumes someone else will help so nobody does.
Like the Kitty Genovese story.
Exactly, or the Petro Barladiano example in the source. If you need help in a crowd, single someone out directly. You in the red shirt, call 911.
Makes them personally responsible.
Right. Also, remember the planning fallacy. We consistently, universally underestimate how long tasks will take. Planning is guessing, the source says.
So don't treat plans as gospel.
Use them as guides, absolutely. But build in buffers. Expect delays. Don't depend on the plan working out perfectly.
Realistic expectations.
Finally, leverage group dynamics positively. Referrals are powerful because we trust people we know. Our networks are valuable.
Word of mouth.
Yeah. Clanning. We are profoundly influenced, consciously or not, by the groups we belong to, the people around us.
Our tribe shapes us.
Definitely. Social proof. We unconsciously look to others to figure out how to behave, especially in uncertain situations. If everyone else is doing it, it seems like the right thing to do.
Following the herd.
Can be good or bad. And getting small initial commitments makes people much more likely to follow through with bigger actions later. Consistency bias.
Like the alumni donation example. Agreeing to donate in the future made them more likely to actually donate later.
Exactly. Or the Persian rug merchant getting you to agree on small points before the big ask. But be cautious with incentives.
Why? Don't incentives motivate people?
Sometimes they backfire. They can shift motivation from internal, doing it because you want to external, doing it just for the reward. When the reward goes away, the behavior might stop.
Crowding out intrinsic motivation.
Right. And finally, when dealing with issues or disagreements, always focus on options. Presenting several possible courses of action gives people a sense of control and makes finding agreement easier than a single take-it-or-leave-it proposal.
More choices, less resistance.
Okay, let's move into analyzing and improving systems. To effectively improve anything, the source stresses, you first have to understand its underlying system.
Makes sense. You can't fix what you don't understand.
And a key principle here is Gall's law.
Gall's law.
It states that a complex system that works is invariably found to have evolved from a simple system that worked.
So start simple and iterate. Complex systems designed from scratch usually fail.
That's the idea. Which means we often need to break things down. Use deconstruction. Take complex systems apart into smaller, understandable pieces.
Why's that necessary?
Because of our cognitive scope limitation. Our brains can generally only juggle about 7 or 8 variables effectively at one time. Complex systems have way more variables than that. Deconstruction makes them manageable.
Break it down to understand it.
Right. And once you've deconstructed, you need to measure. But measure wisely.
How so?
Focus on the truly key performance indicators, KPIs, a few metrics that really drive results. Avoid that cognitive scope limitation again by trying to measure absolutely everything.
Focus on what matters.
Yeah. And be super wary of garbage in, garbage out. Ensure your data is actually accurate and meaningful. Like, is your website counting search engine bots as visitors? That's garbage data.
Understand the source and meaning of your data.
And context is everything for measurements. Aggregate numbers are often useless without context. Is revenue up because you sold more or because you raised prices? Use sampling for quality testing. You don't need to test everything to get a good sense. And always, always remember, correlation is not causation.
The classic example, ice cream sales and crime rates both go up in the summer. One doesn't cause the other.
Exactly. There's a hidden variable, hot weather. You need to understand the underlying mechanisms.
Okay, so we understand the system, we're measuring the right things. How do we systematically improve these systems?
Several techniques. One is segmentation. Humanize your data. Develop fictional profiles or personas for different customer segments, like P&G understanding their deep cleaning versus light cleaning detergent users. It helps you target your efforts more effectively.
Understand the different types of users.
Right. Then refactoring. This is about deconstructing your processes, looking for patterns, and removing inefficiencies or redundancies. Improves speed, reduces waste.
Streamlining the workflow.
Exactly. And always keep the critical few in mind. The Pareto principle. 80% of your results often come from 20% of your efforts or inputs or customers. Identify and focus on that critical 20%.
Maximum leverage.
Find and remove friction. Any unnecessary effort, wasted time, needless complexity in your system, make things smoother, easier.
Reduce the barriers.
Which leads naturally to automation. Removing enough friction and defining processes clearly so a system can operate without constant human intervention. But there's a warning here.
What's the warning?
Bill Gates' rule. Automation applied to an efficient operation will magnify the efficiency. Applied to an inefficient operation will magnify the inefficiency.
Automating a broken process just makes it fail faster or bigger.
Precisely. Which highlights the irony of automation. Highly reliable automated systems can actually make humans less vigilant. Our senses get dulled because the system usually works.
So we might miss small errors creeping in.
Exactly. Small errors that can accumulate, like the Toyota recall example linked to a small antenna glitch in a complex system. Rigorous sampling and testing become even more vital with automation to catch those hidden issues.
Don't get complacent just because it's automated.
Right. So how do you make your systems truly resilient? Able to withstand shocks and errors?
Good question.
Use checklisting. Simple checklists drastically reduce errors, especially for complex or routine tasks. They also prevent willpower depletion by formalizing the process.
Like the hospital example, checklists dropped IV line infections dramatically.
From 11% down to 0, just by using a simple checklist. Incredible impact. Also, build in redundancy and fail-safes. Never have a single critical point of failure. Plan for disruption.
Like backup hard drives or airplane oxygen masks.
Exactly. Perform stress testing. Intentionally push your system, try to break it under controlled conditions to find weak points and make it more robust before a real crisis hits.
Find the limits before the real world does.
Yeah, the author did this with his website server to make sure it could handle big traffic spikes. Use scenario planning. Think about potential futures, especially dealing with uncertainty. How would you respond to different major events? Like the black swan idea, those unpredictable high-impact events. Planning builds flexibility.
Prepare for the unexpected.
And finally, a really crucial concept for thinking ahead. Understand second-order effects.
Second-order effect.
Every action has consequences, but those consequences also have consequences, like a line of dominoes. You need to think beyond the immediate impact.
Could you give an example?
The source uses rent control in New York City, intended to help tenants by keeping rents low, first-order effect. But the second-order effect was that landlords had less incentive to maintain buildings, leading to decay, fewer new buildings being built, and ultimately different kinds of housing issues.
Unintended consequences.
Exactly. Or the Challenger disaster. It wasn't one big failure. It was small risks, accumulating in a tightly coupled system where parts are highly interdependent, leading to what Diane Vaughan called a normal accident. In sufficiently complex, tightly coupled systems, some failures become almost inevitable due to interactions nobody fully predicted.
Wow. So understanding those ripple effects is critical.
Hugely important for foresight.
Okay. This deep dive.
Mhm.
Wow, it's really given us a comprehensive lens, a way to view business, productivity, even our own minds differently.
Yeah, it's not about suddenly knowing everything, being omniscient, but it's about having better tools, better mental models to ask better questions and
Yeah.
build more resilient systems, both externally and internally.
Absolutely. And as the source concludes, business isn't just a science, it's also an art. It's constantly seeking the middle path.
Middle pack.
Yeah, that ever-changing balance point between too little and too much analysis, too little action, too much cost-cutting, too little value, too much complexity, too little simplicity.
And nobody can just tell you where that path is.
Exactly. You have to be walking it, constantly adjusting, feeling it out to know where it is right now.
And that's the beauty of it, isn't it? It's a continuous journey, always learning, always adapting.
Couldn't agree more.
So, for your provocative thought to take away from all this, consider this. How might consciously understanding and maybe even trying to anticipate the second-order effects, those domino consequences of your most important decisions, both personal and professional, how might that allow you to navigate the complexities of your life with, well, far greater foresight and resilience?
Hmm. That's a deep one to ponder. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep applying these kinds of insights. Hopefully they'll help make your life and your ventures more successful and maybe more fulfilling too.
Until next time, keep diving deep.